This video was brought to you by Dashlane. Welcome back guys to Voicey here and another r/entitled parents. We've seen entitled parents try and steal just about everything, but can an entitled parent get away with stealing an entire park? Let's find out. Don't forget Voicey veterans to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. This story was called, EP Thinks They Rented the Whole Park. I'm at a city park with my kids. We've been to this park a bunch. There is this one spot where there is a rocky hill, all tree covered, nice and shady on a hot day. There is a playground and a pavilion at the top of the hill. We get there and I immediately notice loud noises, and I'm having to step over cables and extension cords. Someone rented the pavilion and set up not one, but 3 bounce houses around it. Freaking great. So I have to give the disappointing news to my kids that even though they are surrounded by bounce houses, they cannot play in them, since this is a private party. But they are free to go and hit the playground. Everyone is cool. I sit on a bench as my kids go to town on the fake pirate ship when I hear, "Hey!" He walks up to me and informs me that the playground is closed for a private party. I look at him and inform him that the public park does not close for private parties, and it sounds like he rented the pavilion nearby, which is fine, but doesn't give him exclusive use of the neighboring playground. He storms off and returns with a rental agreement and shoves it in my face, telling me to get my freaking kids and leave. Right, so rental agreement is very clearly for the pavilion, all for the grand sum of $35 for 4 hours. How could any sensible adult think that $35 granted you exclusive use of a public playground? Moreover, why is it so important for you to have exclusive use of a public playground? I again point out to him that he rented the pavilion, not the park, and my kids won't go in his bounce houses and we won't go into his pavilion. But the playground is fair game for everyone. He begins hurling threats, and I'm weighing just taking my kids and leaving to avoid this jerk. Then I decide I need to take a stand on principle. So I tell him to get lost and proceed to use my phone to find the phone number of the park office. Our county staffs our parks. During the summer months, they employ park rangers who have peace officer authority. I call the park ranger and tell him that there is trouble up at this shady playground and they need to come right away. Sure enough, as I'm getting off the phone, Dolph returns with 2 of his meathead friends to tell me that they're ejecting me from the park. No, you're not. And if you touch me, I'm calling the cops and pressing charges. No anger, no rage. With this promise of action, however, one of them kind of widens his eyes and steps back, saying to his friend, "Just leave him alone, man." This guy, for some reason, does not want the police coming, and it is very obvious. The ringleader won't back down, however, and tries his best to get in my face, scream and yell. He grabs my arm. I remove his hand. All of this just as I see the ranger pull up, yell for everyone to step back from one another, and comes over. This smug dude shoves the rental contract into the chest of the ranger, telling him that I'm trespassing and he rented this space for the day for his kid's party. Now, normally I don't like posturing by law enforcement, but here it was pretty amusing. "Touch me again and I'm arresting you." He reads the contract. "This is for renting the pavilion. You have use of the pavilion, but the playground is open for public use." Hands it back. "Also, your permit doesn't allow you to set up bounce houses. Where did you plug these in?" The ranger follows the extension cords and sees that they ran them to the nearby public bathrooms. There was an outdoor outlet. It was locked. This dude cut the lock off so he could plug in his crap. Ranger comes back with the broken lock. "Did you cut this lock?" It was like that when I found it." "Really? Because it was intact this morning. So some random person cut this lock and you just happened upon it within the last 2 hours?" I guess." Long story short, he let them stay and let them keep the bounce castles because he didn't want to ruin a kid's party. He wrote the guy a citation for the broken lock and the unauthorized power use and banned him from the park for the remainder of the season, after the party. Amazingly, this entire event was lost on my children, who barely noticed anything was going on, likely because of the compressor noise. You know, it's nice to have a story end that isn't just, "and then everyone was arrested." I like that the officer actually was like, "You know what? Yes, these guys are jerks, but I don't really want to ruin this kid's party." It's sad when parents do bad things and then the kids have to suffer. This story was called, "EM Brings Along Her Kid to Work, Unannounced." The background: my company sets up a booth at a carnival, and we engage several part-timers to assist at the carnival. The part-timers are required to go around the carnival ground to distribute flyers, share information, and direct visitors to our booth. The story: on the day of the carnival, after setting up, I met up with the part-timers to prepare them for the day. Out of all the part-timers, only EM was late. She mentioned she would be 15 minutes late, but it was closer to an hour. As we couldn't wait, I briefed the others and deployed them for the day. When EM arrived, she had her kid in tow, 5 to 6-year-old. Due to the job nature, we can't have her lugging her kid while working. EM knew this.
My husband couldn't handle kid, so I had to bring her along.
I can't have you working with your kid.
It's not my problem. If you don't like it, get someone to watch over him.
My colleague who was watching this unfold offered to watch over her kid. He was only required to help out during the start and end of the carnival, so was entirely free during the event. I thought, alright, since he was free, I can watch over her, get her some food, watch some shows, play some games, but you'll need to pay me.
Whatever, I'm not paying you for your time, only for kid.
My colleague, grinning, sure. I was flabbergasted. Colleague told me not to worry, he had a plan. Once EM started working, C brought EM's kids systematically through every single booth throughout the entire carnival. It was the kid's dream come true, and I believe her best day ever. Whatever she wanted to eat, C bought. She saw a lot of the shows and won many prizes. Since C had a staff pass, he didn't need to pay for the shows, only for the kid. At the end of the carnival, when we were clocking the hours worked, EM had the nerve to insist to be paid full, even though she was late for almost an hour. She said that because of various reasons, mainly due to her kid, she would have been early. She was ranting and I didn't really pay any attention, as I was tired and I don't decide on the pay. But it was about how I will never understand as I don't have kids and how she deserves it because she was a mother. My manager nearby winked at me and took over. He said he was very pleased with the day's sales and how we are supportive of her and we should give kids the best. He told her not to worry about the hours she worked and EM will be paid in full. After hearing this, not even a single thanks from EM. She declared in a loud voice,
"At least someone understands."
She had this condescending and victorious look on her face. Thankfully, it didn't last long. The sucker punch for EM was that EM's kid spent roughly $100, and with EM's pay at $15 an hour for 8 hours equals $120, she made a whopping $20 for the whole day. C made it a point to keep track of the expenses, receipts, tickets, stubs, etc., and took tons of photos. Of course, EM threw a fit, but with the amount of evidence and her daughter vouching for all the fun she had, EM had no case except to yell,
"I'm not paying for this!"
grabbed her daughter and stormed off. We look forward on payday when we issue her a check of $20. You'd think an entitled parent like that that's going to be stingy, doesn't want to pay for somebody to babysit her kid, would clarify the limit of what her kid can do at the carnival. It's like sometimes an EP is smart, just not quite smart enough. Dashlane makes the internet way faster and more fun. How often are you ready to buy something but you don't have your credit card handy? Dashlane means you never have to have your credit card on you. How often do you forget or reset your password? You'll never forget or reset a password again with Dashlane. For anything that requires filling out forms online, from checkouts to taxes, from buying airline tickets to applying for a job, Dashlane has you covered with one-click autofill. It also works across all devices and browsers, so wherever you go, your passwords go with you. Click on the link in the description below to get your 30-day free trial of Dashlane Premium. And use the coupon code VoiceyHere at dashlane.com/VoiceyHere to get 10% off Dashlane Premium, but only for the first 200 people. This story was called, "I don't care if your sister has a broken hand and cancer, she should still play video games with my son." My younger sister was diagnosed with cancer early 2017. As of now, she is still having treatment, and we are uncertain about when her treatment will end. Yesterday she tried to walk to the bathroom from the bed. She slipped and landed awkwardly on her hand. Luckily, when we got it checked at the hospital, it was just a buccal fracture. It's not very serious, but it requires a splint. She didn't need a cast and it was in her left hand, so I was happy with the outcome as it could have easily been worse. Anyway, later on that day she was feeling a little upset and my mum went out to get all of us McDonald's. I was just spending time with little sister and helping her out with what she needed whilst mum picked up the food. Enter entitled uncle and entitled kid, around 8 years old. They visit fairly often and we were used to them arriving. because of how annoying they are to little sister. I always keep my PS4, with games like FIFA and Fortnite installed, downstairs, so any kids who visit stay away from my younger sister and they don't bug anyone else.
Hi everyone!
Me surprised to see them. Oh, hi EK, how are you?
Okay, can I play on the Switch?
The Switch is for little sister. It always stays in her room and she takes it to hospital when she has to stay. This isn't going to be possible. Little sister hurt her hand and she can't be near people. Have you seen her splint?
Obviously I saw the splint.
Then you know that she can't. And you also know that I have the PS4 with the games you like downstairs. I'll be down soon and I'll play with you. I should add that I have bought PS4 games I never use for the purpose of keeping visitors away from LS. Her immune system can't handle people visiting, but EU's family fails to understand. I prefer keeping them downstairs because it's less pressure for LS, and puts me at ease knowing that she's okay.
No, I want to play on the Switch with LS.
I then suggest for EK to take the Switch handheld and take it downstairs. EK then throws a tantrum. Enter entitled uncle upstairs to LS's room.
What did you do to upset him?
Told him that he can't play on the Switch with LS. I then told him to go on the PS4. Then I said take the Switch handheld downstairs.
Are you really telling me that a splint on her left arm stops her from playing games?
Me slightly shocked. Yes, it does. Plus she's tired from being in hospital all day getting her arm sorted. Let her rest.
I don't care if she's tired or has a broken arm. That shouldn't stop her from playing games with EK.
I'm just shocked at this point. Then my mum arrives back home with the McDonald's. To shut up EK, I gave him my McFlurry and told him to stay downstairs and go on the PS4. EK then did just that. I told him to load Fortnite on the PS4 and play it. His eyes lit up and there were no more arguments. We are still trying to recover from the scenario because LS was left upset by what EK and EU did. It's disgusting that their motivation to come to our house was to play on the Switch and eat our food. I didn't mind giving the McFlurry. All I cared about was LS being happy, especially after hurting her hand and all the other crap she's been through the past 2 years. I mean, it sucks sometimes that you have to give something that you want just to make an entitled person happy so they don't bother you or bother someone you care about. But sometimes that's the best course of action. Give them your McFlurry and let them play Fortnite on your PS4. At least they won't be bothering the people that you care about, right? Probably depends on personality though. I'm sure some people would be very happy to tell them to get lost. This fan-submitted story was called EP makes fun of my walking disability, then deliberately makes me fall face first on the concrete floor. The backstory. I have a walking disability where I can't walk very long distances without taking breaks on benches every 10 minutes. I also have duck feet, which means since I was born, I have twisted knees, which makes my feet stick out in a weird way, which is pretty noticeable, but either people didn't notice or just didn't care. In the cast, me, Paul, boyfriend, EP, CK, EP's son, cool kid, and CE, cafe employee, aka my hero. Now onto the story. A few days ago, me and my boyfriend, Paul, went on a day trip to Stanford Park. We live in England and we're both around 21 years old. All year round, it's basically a ginormous field with a closed cafe in the middle. But in the summertime, it gets transformed into a huge theme park with bouncy castles and ice cream trucks are there 24/7, and water fountains, and even a sand park. But you have to get there early or else by 11 AM, the entire park will be filled with people lying on towels and you'll have nowhere to sit. So me and Paul got there around 9 AM by my car. The morning was great. We each had to go on the bouncy castle and we'd had an ice cream. And then after the nature trail around the park, we went to sit on a bench and watch the sunset on the hill. We had been there all day and the nature trail took all afternoon, plus it was really romantic. So we sat on the bench and my legs felt so much better already, as we hadn't had a chance to sit down properly yet. We realized we were a bit early for the sunset, so we just closed our eyes for a bit because the only thing we could see was trees and the sun. After around 5 minutes of this, someone started poking me on the arm, really hard. This person, to nobody's surprise, was EP. Ow! What? Then Paul opened his eyes and saw what I did.
Hi, sorry, I don't know my own strength. I thought you were asleep. Sorry, I was just going to ask you to move up so that me and my son could sit down. We've been here since 9 AM and we haven't sat down much.
Behind her I saw a kid who looked around 10, sat on a towel on his phone. Sure, you can sit down, but this is a massive bench and me and my boyfriend are sat on the end of it. You didn't have to poke me to sit down. CK looked up when he heard this and mouthed sorry to me. I nodded very quickly to let him know I understood. Then I began to watch the sunset and relax. But then all I heard was really loud metal screamo songs coming from EP's phone. She had put earphones in, but not properly. Ma'am? I can hear your music. You haven't put your earphones in properly.
Sorry.
She put her earphones in properly, then loudly starts to try and make convo with us. Look, I understand that there isn't much to do right now, but as you can see, I'm trying to watch the sunset with my boyfriend, so I would really appreciate if you could be quiet right now. I stood up at this point and immediately stumbled because my legs had gotten too used to relaxing. Paul saw this and stood up with me to catch me if I stumbled again because we were on a hill and I could easily fall off. You okay? Yeah. I think EP then noticed my duck feet.
Isn't it uncomfortable standing like that?
Huh? Oh, no, I have duck feet. I then explained my disability to her and how I have twisted knees. When I finished, EP started laughing.
Am I supposed to believe that? What idiot would come here if they had a walking disability?
I then realized the sun had set. Great, now I've been laughed at for my disability and the entire point I came to sit on this bench has set. Why don't we just get something from the cafe and head home? We need a proper meal anyway. All day we've just been eating ice cream. Okay. We start to head down the hill when EP goes past us while practically dragging CK to the bottom. And they do all that just to sit on a table outside the cafe. I tell Paul what I want and he goes in to get the food. I then realize I forgot to give him the money. So I walk in after him only to be tripped by EP sticking her foot out. I began to fall but saved myself with my hands quickly. But because of the speed I was going, my arm cracked as it hit the floor and broke. I screamed in agony and felt someone lift me up onto the chair. What happened? I tried to point to EP, but with my arm, I hadn't realized it had broke. I screamed again. Okay, I know that it hurts, but you have to tell me how you feel. I then took an agonizing breath to stop myself from screaming and said, EP. I didn't actually say that, but I can't say her name for legal reasons or something. Apparently she can sue me if I put her name onto the internet. Paul was ticked, but luckily a cafe employee heard this and approached EP.
Ma'am, is this true? Did you trip up this young woman?
Her kid replied, yes.
What? No it isn't. She has a walking disability. She told me herself. We are aware of her situation. She informed us this morning after she stumbled in the cafe. Mom, stop. It's not going to work. It never does. Just admit you tripped her up, because if you don't, the camera will do it for you.
He then pointed to his phone, and it turns out that he had recorded the entire thing right from the top of the hill. Post your stories, memes, and fan art at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, Voicey veterans, I'll see you in the next one.